August 15th. What have you got for us? Let's take a look. This is Melbourne time. Okay. So, oh, 1:11 a.m. Isn't that magical? Okay. At 1:11 a.m., we're getting an aspect here with Saturn. So this aspect between Taurus and Aries, Moon in Taurus. Now, look, the Moon likes it in Taurus. Our emotions, we like it in Taurus, okay? Because Taurus is the energy of love and abundance and beauty and like really connecting to that sort of stuff, right? So the Moon loves that sort of shit. But here we go. It's making an aspect here with Saturn retrograding in Aries. Okay, so this is a like a beginning kind of energy. Even though Saturn is going backwards, we're back at the beginning, right? So we really are back around that start of June, end of May time, and we're really looking at like what the fuck we kind of decided then, right? So this energy at 1:11, it can be a little bit fucking annoying, honestly. A little bit annoying. It wants to be positive and we need to keep an open mind about it. We're asleep, so hopefully we can. But it can be a difficulty in being able to see something clearly, right? And what we're trying to see is like, where was the stability and the work, and were we putting in enough work of what we wanted to build at the end of May, start of June, right? And so we actually get a lot of help in this dream space of being able to see that, right? Because we get to 1:28 a.m. and that aspect with Uranus, that brings Uranus into the mix, right? And Uranus is the planet of change, of evolution. And Gemini is communication and being able to see things from the other perspective, right? Being open to learning. And so we need that fucking energy to come in and kind of release us from this stubbornness, right? Because Taurus energy is a bit stubborn, Aries energy is a bit stubborn, Saturn energy is a bit stubborn, and Uranus comes in with a snow globe situation, right? Shake that fucking shit up. And so that energy will help us kind of see this end of May, start of June situation in regards to stability and hard work. Were we doing it? We get to see that from a different perspective. And when we get to see that from a different perspective, we're then offered a chance to imagine something new, right? Because then Neptune comes in at 2:19 a.m. So Neptune comes in at 2:19 a.m. and really does offer us this opportunity to be able to like dream something new now, right? Really, like, does anything need to be dissolved? And does anything need to be, let's like grow new? And so when we get this 3 a.m. aspect, now this could fucking wake you up. This energy could wake you up, okay? This is like this square aspect, right? So a square is bad, fight, big, hard kind of aspect, right? Something very intense, something very fucking irritating. It's a conflict, right? I always say a square is a war energy. It's a war dynamic. These two energies are fighting with each other. And so with a moon in Taurus and the Pluto Aquarius in retrograde currently, these guys are having a little bit of a war, right? There's some kind of friction or obstacle that they're trying to deal with, right? We're trying to figure out what the fuck is happening, and it's forcing growth through that tension, okay? So this is where Pluto in Aquarius has sent us deep into the fucking shadowlands of our psyche, right? And it really wants us to find places that are hidden, that are powerful to us, right? And Aquarius energy is that authentic energy. It's that authentic creativity. It's really being able to express yourself authentically and like not give a fuck what people think of you. So that's where the moon in Taurus has a bit of a problem with it. That's why they're fighting here, because that moon in Taurus, they want people to like it, right? And like Taurus energy is like, it's top level, right? It's like exterior. Its opposition energy is that Scorpio. So Scorpio is the depth and Taurus is like the top of the water, right? It's like what floats on the top. And so it doesn't want to fucking go deep. Like, how dare you send me into the darkness to look for shit? I'm not doing that. I'm out here chilling. Fucking leave me alone, right? So there's a bit of a battle there. Now, that then requires this next aspect of really having to sort something out, right? So why was that battle happening? Well, likely because there is a space from the past within your family in regards to how you see yourself worthy of love and abundance that you were programmed incorrectly about, right? Because Jupiter in Cancer right now is here to expand our idea of family. So expand what we think family is, expand that space that belongs to the inner child, that belongs to the child's mind, expand it into a point that we can see it now, we can understand it better. And so this is where we have to really look into that space of like, from the past, like what was I seeing? How was I filtering things in the past that have led me to hide those earlier things, right? Hide those things that Pluto in Aquarius is getting me to try and find. And so because of that, because we sort of have to go back to go forward, right? Because of that, we find this space here, this semi-square to the North Node, right? The North Node being our goal, our discomfort zone, what we're here to learn, what we're here to go toward. And because we're dealing with Pisces here, this is like kind of the energy of needing to be a bit more habitual about your spiritual energy, right? And about like how you're aligning intuitively with your purpose, with where you're heading. And so, of course, we get this tiny little battle energy because a semi-square isn't quite as battle as obviously a square, but it is an inner stress, right? It is like an irritating kind of energy because we're trying to decide like if the result of figuring this out is worth it, right? So is the result of figuring out whether or not I'm intuitively aligned with where I'm going, is that fucking worth the energy it's going to take, right? And from that space, we get 7:44 a.m. where we see the moon now, so our emotional space, trying to get some kind of compromise out of how we're taking action, right? Now, this is a particularly interesting one because Mars in Libra alone is a very interesting energy, okay? It's the feeling of like, don't repress your fucking feelings and say what needs to be said or it's going to explode out, right? Mars in Libra doesn't start a fight, but it'll fucking finish one, right? So we get this compromise where now like that stubborn emotional space is kind of like, okay, well, we need to be heard here. Like, I need you to hear what I want to do and how I want to change. And we also need to take into account like all of these people around us, like how, like if you're being stubborn, that's going to affect not just me, but there'll be a domino effect, a cause and effect, right? So I need a compromise from this stubbornness in order to like move and shift. Okay. Now this 7:48 a.m. could mean that you're fucking waking up to a conversation that's fucking heated, right? Because Taurus and Leo, that's fire and earth, and that is stubborn as hell. Okay, now Mercury and Leo, that's a confident communication, but it's also communication that can be affected by an assumption that you're not going to be understood, right? So it's like you're already coming in frustrated because you already assume you're not going to be fucking understood. And doubling down on that, 5 degrees, that is the Leo degree. So there is an extra account of ego to both of these, and Taurus is quite an egotistical energy on its own as well. So the moon in Taurus being stubborn as fuck about what it wants to do, and Mercury and Leo now coming in to have a little word with it because we needed that compromise earlier with the Mars in Libra. And so now I've got a fucking opinion on it. Right now I've got an opinion on it and I want you to listen to me because you are impacting my ability to enjoy my life, to put this thing out, to express myself. Okay. Now that's very likely to show up in a real world conversation, right? Where someone's being egotistical and someone is being stubborn. Make sure you check yourself and see which one you are. Okay. Otherwise you're dealing with an internal situation that's going to cause like freeze because you're not going to know what to fucking do. Right now, thank fuck for this next aspect, because when Venus comes to play, especially because she's in Cancer, she's bringing this energy of trying to be a little bit more nurturing and soft when it comes to relationship spaces. And so she's really coming in here to have a word with that stubborn emotional space. And she's kind of like, hey, babe, hey, let's really let's look at some stuff here. Let's create some order to this energy. And like, let's really understand whether or not like we're going toward our strengths or whether we're just like doing something for the sake of fucking winning, right? So we get this energy really being able to come in. Now, hopefully that shows up as being able to sort of talk through that angry conversation energy, right? And this really wants you to talk through it because at 12:04, this sextile aspect, so a sextile aspect is a positive one. It is really giving an opportunity that requires you to like actively engage with it, right? That's what a sextile aspect does. So it's trying to show you some kind of potential here, right? And because it's between Mercury and Mars, it's really good for fucking moving forward and taking action. So this is also a very good energy for having conversations with people about getting them involved, helping them understand what you might need from them, helping them understand like cause and effect of the relationship dynamic, depending on what kind of a situation you find yourself in. And so from then, we sort of feel a little bit less stuck. And this energy, and because it's at 5 degrees as well, so it's because we're still in that Leo degree, there's a confidence that comes from that. And these two things kind of meeting up They're trying to solve a problem together, and they work really well together, right? Air and fire often work really well together. And so we've got conversation and fire, and we've got motivation and balance, right? And relationships. So we're really being motivated by somebody else. We're really being motivated by being able to have a conversation with somebody else and hear their own personal expression and hear their enjoyment of the situation, okay? So think about that if you end up in a conversation, like that the way to roll through this conversation is to truly understand what the end goal is in the conversation. And I heard something the other day that I think is worth mentioning here, and that is that, like, are we having a fight to solve it and meet each other together at the other end, or are we having a fight that neither of us is interested in finishing? Okay, and that is going to be the difference here, because we are having a fight, that 8 a.m. battle, whether it's internally or with someone. We're having that fight for the purpose of working through it and coming out together on the other side. Okay. And I know that for certain because the last aspect of the day, that moon in a biquintile to Mars, that aspect literally means you need to let go of some kind of idea in order to move forward. And so this is really having to let go of some kind of stubbornness in order to be able to move forward into a space where things are balanced. Okay. So bit of a frustrating fucking day, I'm not going to lie, but a lot of August is quite a frustrating day. We are in the Mercury retrograde fallout, or the pre-shadow, or the cleanup, however you want to look at it. But the lessons that we've learned in the Mercury retrograde in the 4 weeks that we experienced it, they're now coming into play, right? We're now being asked to use that information, to integrate that wisdom and to use that in how we communicate moving forward. Okay. So have a great day. If you need my help, come book an appointment. Okay. Stay weird.